It was a tough day out for the Bears on Sunday, who battled hard but were ultimately undone by a strong Oldham side. We've got all the reaction from that game plus loads more to get excited about. This is the world's greatest podcast about the Coventry Bears. This is Bears Necessities. Yes, welcome to Bears Necessities, your favourite podcast about the Coventry Bears. We live at covbearspodcast.com. We're at covbearspodcast on Twitter. You can find our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube too. And we're sponsored by York's Tim. I'm one of your hosts, Dave Musson, and I'm joined as always by my co-pilot and former Bears fullback, Craig Cathcart. Craig, how you doing?
Yes, good mate. I've recovered from my trip to sunny Oldham. It's a club I like going to visit. So yeah, it was not quite the result that the Bears wanted, but all round a sense of progress again on the pitch.
Good stuff. So we do have lots to talk about this week. We will look back on Sunday's 34-18 defeat away at Oldham. As Craig said, he was there, so he can give us all the details. And we'll hear from Bears head coach Tom Tsang as well. We're also going to look forward to this weekend's Rugby League doubleheader at Broad Street. And we're going to start planning some transatlantic trips for 2020 and 2021 because there are a couple of new cities potentially joining League One. But first, some relatively big news. So that book that I told you all that I'd written about the Bears' 20th anniversary season, you may remember that from a couple of episodes. Well, it's available for pre-order right now at covbearspodcast.com/book. So the book is part season diary, part profile of the club. It features interviews with people like Ron Banks, our club president, Stuart Marr from the supporters club, Mike Hyde, who does the matchday reports for the club, and of course people like Alan Robinson and Tom Tsang as well. There are also some sneaky appearances from John Keir, from Ralph Rimmer, and BBC Sports' Dave Woods has written me an absolutely banging foreword for it as well. So it really does feel like it feels like a proper book, which I'm very pleased with. All profits from the book are going to be split between the Bears and the charity Rugby League Cares, and I am publishing this thing myself. So if you want a copy, then please do pre-order it so I know how many to order from the printers. I don't want to end up with a pile of unsold books. That's why I'm doing it as a pre-order campaign, so we can order as many as we need, save the planet and all of that kind of stuff. So pre-orders are available now, covbearspodcast.com/book. They will close on the 22nd of July, so you've got a bit of time to do it, and we'll of course remind you between now and then. And all being well, the book will be printed and ready for the home game against Keighley on the 4th of August. Now, the book's obviously available to anyone. There are postage costs for people ordering from afar, but Bears fans who come to home games, if you want to save on postage, then there is an option there where you can just buy the book and collect your copy from me in person at a home match. And that's about it, really. There's more info on the Bears website. There's going to be more info in the programme in this weekend's game, but basically all you need to know, covbearspodcast.com/book, and place your order now. And Craig, you're going to be ordering one, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say a big well done to you for doing that. It's a massive time commitment to write a book, and I know that you put plenty of hours into it. It is, for me, a bit of a defining season last year, obviously with it being the 20th anniversary season, but also a lot of the stuff that happened on and off the pitch last year. And I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's going to be a really interesting read. And, once again, well done, mate, on getting it finished. And I'm really looking forward to having a read.
Thanks. I'm very much looking forward to getting it out there. And of course, the main reason to, apart from the fact I've always fancied writing a book, but to be able to raise money for two great causes such as the Bears, hopefully see a bit of impact in terms of some money going back into the club there. And of course, Rugby League Cares, who are a very well respected charity within the game and do some amazing work. So yeah, go and pre-order the book. And by the time 22nd of July comes, when the pre-order closes, all of you dear listeners will be sick of the sound of me talking about it. But yeah, if you support the Bears and you like reading, then it's a good match. So go and get that from covbearspodcast.com/book. Right then, let's switch our attention to last Sunday's game. So the Bears travelled up to Oldham. Unfortunately came away on the wrong side of a 34-18 scoreline. Craig was there. He'll talk us through the game in a minute. But first, let's hear what Bears head coach Tom Tsang had to say after the match.
So, Tom, I think today was a great performance by the Bears, just falling short at 34-18. Won the second half 18-16. Some of the calls didn't go the Bears' way, but I guess probably you're fairly proud of the lads' performance today.
Yeah, Craig, I'm very proud. I've got mixed emotions about the game there, because I absolutely hate losing, and obviously when you do lose, it's sort of difficult to overcome that straight away. But at the same time, I'm massively happy with and proud of the boys with the way that they stuck to the task, because there was nothing between the teams for 25 minutes. The first 20, it was 0-0 for a long period, and it was just that last 10 minutes they managed to just break us with a couple of quick tries before the half, and stretch away to a 20-point lead at half time, which really it didn't reflect the effort from both teams and the way that the game was going. And we spoke at half time about in games gone past, in seasons gone past, that scoreline could really blow out and turn embarrassing. We were determined not to let that happen, and so yeah, for us to win that, to come out and win that second half was really good. And I just said to the boys inside there, it feels like physically and mentally, in terms of like digging into a game that's very, very tough, is that we've really matured today.
Yeah,
and I hope that we can take that forward, because if we combine the attacking side of our game that we showed last week and add it to that defensive resilience today, and that's real toughness, that real physical element that we showed today, then we'll be a very, very difficult team to beat. But it's difficult to take, because I just hate losing, but I am very proud of it.
It is hard to take. There was a couple of very late tries in the first half, and then when the Bears came out fighting in the second half, a couple of decisions really didn't go your way at all. Particularly the one when just after Bears had scored, Nick Newman kicked a 40-20, which went into touch, caught by the Oldham player in touch, and it was the touch judge called it. The ref overruled it. So, if you talk about turning points, that was one of the turning points of the game, I guess. They went on to score straight after that.
Yeah, there was a couple of 50-50 calls that didn't go our way, and obviously that you can't really do anything about that, and you just got to keep going and try and put it out of your mind. And it's difficult when there's a couple of real genuine 50-50 that could have gone either way. I think though we've got to look at ourselves as well at the same time, because we did score that second try in the second half, our second try in the second half, and then the next set we turned the ball over on halfway. The next set in possession, we turned the ball over on halfway. Yeah. And in between, we've given away a couple of penalties as well. So there was a period of time there in the middle of the second half where we had some momentum and we could have kicked on, but we just didn't really help ourselves with our ball control. But having said that, I've got to say, for me, we're closing in on halfway into the season. We haven't played everyone yet, but Oldham so far, they're the best team we've played.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think they're head and shoulders in terms of their defensive attitude, and they're just relentless.
Yeah, I think they play it big up the middle, don't they? They've got very experienced players who really hit it up, and then they've got the players to be able to spread the ball afterwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not the biggest pack, but they're very, very physical. They're very, very dynamic, and then on the edges they've got two second rowers who are just big, physical, good ball runners, really experienced. So their pack is very, very dangerous, and for me, they're the best team that we've played.
I have to say though, the Bears, all three of the Bears' tries were excellent tries, really well worked. A couple of them looked like they were practicing the training ground, set plays. You got to be pleased with the fact that the Bears didn't have huge amounts of possession, but created stuff from nothing really. Yeah,
and it's difficult because this is such a small, tight field, and Oldham play it perfectly that it's really difficult to create space, and you've got to be doing some really good things with the ball to even present an opportunity to score. So we scored a couple of, like you say, set plays, and then I can't really say that Nathan's set up for Sam Davis's try at the end was off the training field, but he's just seen something and gone for it, and it's probably the best try of the day.
Yeah, so in terms of positives, what can you take into next week?
I think it's just that defensive mindset that we brought today was the best it's been all season, possibly the best we've had since we've been in League One, I would say. We've come up against an excellent Oldham team who were relentless and really, really stuck to their task. So we can hold our heads high. We know that there's still massive amounts of improvement in us. And again, we've scored 18 points, so we know that we can score against one of the best defensive teams in the division. So we're very confident that put us back on our own home turf with a nice big wide field, we can really look to turn teams over. But also now we've come away to one of the toughest places in the division and stuck it to a very good team, and we shouldn't be afraid of doing that again to other teams. Yeah,
in terms of individual performances, did anyone stand out today?
I thought I seem to be giving it to him most weeks, the man of the match, but I gave it to Chris Barrett again.
Yeah,
I thought he was absolutely immense in the middle unit in the first half. Brad Sheridan broke his finger early in the second half, and so he moved to standoff in the second half, and that's when our attacking structures actually clicked in. So he played a second position really well as well. So he was a standout. I thought Peter Ryan in his first stint was brilliant. Nathan Conroy in his first stint was brilliant. Sam Davis, when he came off the bench at hooker, was a real live wire and picked up our attack really well. So I've got to say as well, Rhys Rance in the wing, on the wing there, he took every high ball that came his way, and they didn't stop putting it into him, and he took every single one. So he's got to get some credit for that as well. So
absolutely. I mean, I can remember coming here last year, and they used similar tactics with the high wide ball, and we really didn't cope with it well last year. But Rhys took everything, and Hayden as well had a couple to deal with. So I mean, from my point of view, watching on the touchline, I can tell you the comments from the Oldham fans and from their players under the posts is that they were certainly worried about the Bears' threat today, and it was a very good performance. And it's another, for me, it's another sense of the progression that the Bears are making, that you can come here and compete with a very difficult team in a very difficult ground to come to.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Craig. And again, last week gave us the belief that we can be a good attacking threat, and I think today it's difficult to say when you conceded 34 points, but really like that doesn't reflect how well we did defend, and if we can bring that again in future games, then we're going to be in a good place.
And ahead of it's Crusaders next week, they've got a similar record to the Bears, I guess, in the league this season. They've had a couple of reasonable results recently. You got how's things going in terms of preparation for that game?
Well, we played them in pre-season. I've been keeping an eye on how they're going. I watched a couple of their games through the week. Excuse me. They're a very big team, not quite as dynamic as Oldham, but very big, very skillful, and very, very well coached. So we're expecting a tough performance. They're just below us in the league, I think, but it doesn't in any way sort of reflect how dangerous they are as a team. They turned over Doncaster a few weeks ago and have run other teams very close. So they're there or thereabouts, and again, it just shows how competitive the competition is.
Thanks, Tom, once again for the interview today, and good luck for next week.
So thanks to Tom for joining us as always. So Craig, you made the trip with the team up to Oldham on Sunday. Kind of a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to feelings, I get the impression. Like some definite some positives and some decent tries from the Bears, but just edged out by a better team on the day ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I'd probably start just by saying it's a good away trip if anyone wants to do it next year. It's a very, I guess it's a strange stadium to try and describe, but it's got a fantastic pitch. I understand that the pitch used to be on a slope and was an absolute nightmare to play on, but it's got a 4G pitch there. It's a small little compact stadium. There's a small stand there. I have to say the Oldham fans probably are some of the friendliest that I've come across in all my away trips. Lots of people stopped to talk to us, asking us about how the season was going, asking us about some of the games the Bears had won. After the game, so many people came up and said, "Well done to the Bears. That was a really good performance. Really stuck at the task and and played really well." I think I mentioned it last year. It's the only place, though, however, where the security check everyone's bags when they're going in, and that included the players' bags and the players' kit bags. The kit man had to open everything, so that's a bit strange, which kind of, in some ways, ruins a little bit of the goodwill from all the friendliness that you get elsewhere in the ground. But yeah, in terms of performance, it was, to be honest, the first 20 minutes is as good as I've seen the Bears play in a long time. It was 0-0 after 20 minutes. Bears had one or two opportunities to score, but they'd kept a very good Oldham team at bay and were defending like absolute demons, particularly defensively on their line. Some really big hits from the Bears. This Oldham team are a very physical team. They will, certainly a lot of teams won't be able to mix it up with them, but the Bears, controlled their aggression, played very, very well in the first 20. The Oldham did score eventually, and then it was 10-0 coming up to the last minute before half time, which I thought 10-0 at half time. That'll be quite a decent result for the Bears. They'll be able to come out second half and give it a good go. But Oldham unfortunately scored a couple of late tries. I didn't think there was that many stoppages, and on my watch, the second try was, I think, on 47 minutes. So bit unfortunate for the Bears, particularly having defended so well, to concede two late tries and go in 22-0 down. Second half, though, the guys came out fighting, scored the first try. I have to say, again, they put in an excellent second half performance. I think I said on the interview it was 18-16, but it was actually 18-12 to the Bears in the second half, which is really respectable. In years gone by, I think the Bears might have, going in 22-0 at half time, might have given up the ghost and maybe not been as fully committed as they were at the weekend. Really unfortunate with a couple of decisions. I think overall Oldham were the better team, probably would have still won the game. But after the Bears scored their first try, they had that little window of opportunity where Oldham looked to be rocking a little bit, and had the Bears scored again to make it sort of 22-12, Oldham might have started getting a bit twitchy. But the most bizarre decision was a 40-20 attempt by Nick Newman, which was caught by an Oldham player with his feet in touch, and the scrum was given to Oldham, and they went up the other end and scored from that pretty much straight after that. But with the Bears having possession on the 20-metre line to having to defend their own line shortly afterwards was hard to take. But they still kept going right to the end and scored some fantastic tries. All three of the Bears' tries were brilliant. I love the Cam Pearce-Paul try. Really good move, flat ball from Chris Barrett. Cam Pearce-Paul hitting it at pace and taking three men with him while he went over the line. And then the other two tries were great long-range tries, created pretty much out of nothing. So I think the real positive to take is the fighting spirit show. Despite some of the refereeing decisions and things not going their way, the guys kept at it. And the one thing I would say about this team is that they can score from anywhere. They'll give plenty of teams problems going forward. They went to Oldham last year, I think, 58-6 or something last year.
And 60-0 at home, wasn't it?
Yeah, lost 60-0 at home to them. So to push them that close, and not only that, afterwards, as I said, most of the Oldham fans were saying that the Bears had played well. Looking at sort of social media and everything else, sometimes what you get when the Bears run a team from, an established team reasonably close is that you get people saying, oh, the guys were rubbish, how can we let someone like the Bears, push us that close? But actually, everything that I saw recognised that Oldham had actually played very well to beat a very good Bears side. So that's really promising for the future. And it just shows how far this team and squad of players have come, that they're going up to places like Oldham and putting in performances like that. And as I said, at one point, you could definitely tell that the Oldham players and coach and everyone else was a bit worried about what was going to happen.
Definitely. Good stuff. And if memory serves me correctly, Elliot Hall was among the try scorers again, wasn't he? I mean, yeah. He's, as a former fullback yourself, he has been a real shining light in the team this season, hasn't he? What do you think he's offered that perhaps we've not seen at fullback previously at the Bears? Is there a particular characteristic about his game that means he's getting on the scoring sheet so often?
I really like him as a player. I think he's excellent. The big difference is that he's a finisher, and he reads the game well. When he gets the ball, he hits it at pace, and he has got so much pace. It's untrue. So if he hits a ball at pace and he hits a gap, he's pretty much gone. When he gets near the line as well, if he sniffs a chance, he'll score from it. He's a very good support runner, which modern fullbacks need to be. They need to be on the shoulder of, if someone makes a break, they need to be on their shoulder ready to pick it up. And I think his pace over a short distance means that if someone does make a break through the opposition line, he can be right there and ready to take it. He seems to be very good offset plays as well. He runs very good lines, so he can hit those gaps, and he positions himself where he needs to be. His positional play is excellent. I would have to admit that as with all fullbacks, you're never completely clear if they are solid under a high ball and things like that, but pretty much every game I've seen him play, he's dealt with the high ball very well, and runs it out well as well when he gathers and has to take the ball up. He worked really hard at the weekend as well. I mean, he took a number of drives up on the early tackles as well. But yeah, he's got some scoring record, and I think in seasons gone by, the Bears were reliant on maybe their wingers to get a lot of their tries. But when you've got the whole of the back three able to score tries, then the Bears have got a great attacking back three, really, really good. I mean, Rhys Rance played brilliantly at the weekend as well. He's a fantastic player. I mean, he was targeted specifically by Oldham. He kept sticking high balls up in the air for him, and he dealt with it all brilliantly. And again, he worked very, very hard. So yeah, Elliot's a very, very good player. If he keeps this scoring run, he's got a chance going. He's got a real good chance of scoring the most tries in the season. Hope I've jinxed him there now. But yeah, if he keeps this rate of scoring up, he's got a very good chance.
Yeah, and if that isn't motivation for Hayden Freeman and Rhys Rance to start bagging a few more tries themselves, then don't know what is. But yeah, great. As you say, the threat of being able to score from anywhere really is apparent from the Bears this season, and yeah, Elliot Hall does seem to score most of his tries from in his own half as well. So exciting times ahead. Well, before we park the Oldham game, one more quick interview that you recorded on Sunday, Craig, that we should bring in now. So it was actually with one of the Bears sponsors, and I'll let you explain a little more, Craig, because you chatted to him and you can explain more. But obviously, clubs like the Bears are really reliant on sponsors. They can't survive without the support of sponsors. And you actually found a sponsor on Sunday who, it's obviously not unusual for Bears to be watched by representatives from their sponsors, but you actually managed to find someone who works for a company who was sponsoring both teams on Sunday, so was able to be there as a neutral and just enjoy the game, weren't you, Craig?
Yeah. So the property buying company, who are one of Bears' new sponsors, they were there on Sunday, and I wasn't aware that they were going to be there. It was a bit of a chance meeting before the game, and as I said, he was there to see both of the teams that they sponsor, and managed to just had a quick chat and said, would you mind having a quick interview? And we did so. And the people behind the property buying company are big rugby league fans, see a good fit with the Bears, being based in the only team in the Midlands, playing professional rugby league. And it was an interesting chat, not just in the interview, but before and after the interview as well. Just a general chat about rugby league and what his expectations were for the game and all that sort of stuff. So, and he saw a very good game with two very committed teams giving it a good go.
Yeah, great. Well, let's listen to that chat now.
I'm delighted actually to have Chris from the property buying company with me today. They're one of the main Bears sponsors. Chris, I believe that you sponsor both teams today, so you'll be a neutral, I'm sure, while you're watching the game.
Yeah, I'm here to watch a good game of rugby league and hopefully the best team will win.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the property buying company.
So we're a company that will buy your house if you're looking to sell quickly. So normally within 30 days we can buy your property and then you can move on with your life.
Yeah.
Quicker than an estate agent. We just go in there, buy a house and you can move on.
And you're based in Leeds, I believe, yeah?
We are based in Leeds, but we do operate nationwide, so across England and Wales, really.
So what got you into sports sponsorship and particularly into rugby league sponsorship?
We do a lot of business in the Midlands, especially in the Coventry area, and it seems a good fit. There's a couple of us in the office that are rugby league fans, so we put the two together, rugby league and the Midlands, and we came up with Coventry Bears, so it's a good fit.
Yeah, and what do you know about the Bears? Obviously, the Bears have been in League One for 3-4 seasons now and progressing on the pitch. So it's a really good fit, isn't it, to have a progressive company working closely with the Bears going forward as well?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, my local club is the Batley Bulldogs, so I'm keen on looking at the teams that are up and coming and looking at the new players and seeing what's happening in rugby league. It's a good fit.
Yeah, and so as I mentioned, you sponsor both teams. You're looking to have a good game today. It looks like a decent crowd today, and I'm sure it'll be a really good match.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Okay, good stuff. So that's all of Sunday's doings sorted. So let's change topic completely right now. So Craig, we've talked about the prospect of Ottawa and New York joining League One on previous shows, and from what's been said from the RFL in the last week, it's looking there's still a bit of due diligence left to do, but it looks like the relocation of the Hemel Stags to Ottawa is happening, and they're probably going to be joining League One in 2020. And New York have been encouraged to just go and do a bit more work, but potentially come back and apply for entry into 2021, which is what they were always working to anyway. So it looks like we've got some tasty away trips to try and blag a spot on, haven't we? Ottawa and New York in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, when you read some things on social media, it can kind of can get you a little bit down, because there is definitely still a bit of an anti-expansion feeling within some circles in rugby league. But so I was a bit concerned that these applications might not happen. But obviously the first hurdle was getting the clubs to support it, and they voted in favour. And it's a massive thing for rugby league. I mean, if you see where the sport is going in 10, 20, 30 years' time, having new clubs like this come into the game is only a good thing. It increases the potential for investment across the whole sport. It means that the sport can compete against other sports. Having a transatlantic competition and having teams, from Toronto, Ottawa, New York, the French teams, Catalans and Toulouse, and other teams potentially coming in from other areas as well. It's just fantastic. I mean, as a fan of a League One team, and I don't mean this in any way disrespectful against the other teams in the competition, but how exciting is a potential away trip to New York or to Ottawa, or we've already had Toronto in as well, and it just increases the exposure of the game across all the divisions. I mean, can you imagine the Butts Park Arena with New York turning up to play.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and Ottawa as well. I mean, that's people recognise these places. Some of the clubs that are in the English game, most people don't know where they are, or possibly haven't heard from them. Again, that's not meant in any disrespectful way, but when you have someone like New York come along, or Ottawa or Toronto, those are instantly recognisable places, and it's a massive thing for the game, and can only be good for it. And personally, I'm thinking already that I'm definitely going to do the Ottawa trip next year. I've seen some video of their stadium, and it looks absolutely immense. So yeah, it's going to be brilliant for the game. And what a thing as well for some of these young players in the Bears team to think of these amazing away trips that they get as part of a regular season trip.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's great as well that these teams are coming in at League One as well. It'd be a real shame if they just got bumped straight in at the top level, and the clubs lower down the pyramid missed out on these trips and the chance to welcome these teams as a home match as well, because financially having a home match against a New York or an Ottawa, and previously against Toronto, Toulouse, Bradford last year, you've seen what clubs like the Bears can do with big occasions like that, and it's a massive standout point of the fixture calendar. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. Can't wait to see it happen, and like you, I think see if we can find a way on that plane and maybe do a few podcasts from the other side of the Atlantic. That'd be exciting.
Yes, yeah. As I said, absolutely. I was really gutted I missed out on the Toronto away trip. But we can't miss out on Ottawa, and definitely not New York next year either. So we've got to try to do it.
Yeah, let's start planning now. Well, and one last thing before we check out this week's episode, and equally exciting and equally showing just how the game is growing and the expansion side of things. So let's get excited about this weekend's double header at Broad Street. So obviously the Bears are playing 3:00 kickoff. They're taking on North Wales Crusaders, potentially facing a couple of familiar faces in Ben Stead and Dante Morley-Samuels. And then after that, we get Wigan versus the Army in the Women's Challenge Cup. This is going to be a real feast of rugby league this weekend, isn't it, Craig? It's, in terms of value for money on a Sunday afternoon, you're going to struggle to find better value for rugby fans in Coventry, aren't you?
Yeah, two matches. Firstly, it's guaranteed to be a fantastic game between Bears and Crusaders. The matches we play against them always are. They're always close, reasonably close affairs, although probably won't mention the two results from last year. But Bears generally have very close matches against them. I think last weekend there was 5 ex-Bears players in the Crusaders lineup, so it's bound to be a massively hard-fought game. The Bears will be so confident after the performance against Workington last time out at Broad Street, and playing the brand of rugby the Bears have been playing this year is going to be very exciting to watch, I'm sure. In terms of I'm really delighted that the Bears have taken an opportunity to use this as a double header and to get a women's game at Broad Street. That's and not only any old women's game, to have Wigan Warriors women come down for a Challenge Cup game against the Army is going to be fantastic. I was lucky enough to see a women's game. It was a Super League launch game last year at Bradford, and it was an absolutely fantastic game. This game is sure to be a really good game, and the women's game is going to grow and grow and get bigger and bigger because it's massively exciting to watch. And as I said, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great day out.
Yeah, and there's going to be players in that headline match, in that Challenge Cup game. There's going to be players taking the field at Broad Street that will almost certainly be forming part of the England setup in the World Cup in 2021 as well. So what more reasons do you need to come down and enjoy your bank holiday weekend? Get to see the Bears hopefully put North Wales Crusaders to the sword, and then stick around afterwards to watch. Let's not forget the reigning Super League champions Wigan Warriors taking on the Army in the Women's Challenge Cup. Just a terrific day of rugby league.
Fantastic. I mean, I've promised my daughter I'll take her along to that as well. She's really looking forward to seeing a women's game. And starting her young, getting her into rugby league, and she's very excited to see a women's game.
Awesome. Well, let's leave it there for this week, for this podcast. So, of course, join us on Sunday for 2 terrific matches at Broad Street. First game kicks off at 3:00, and of course, check back with us here on the podcast for all the analysis and reaction from the weekend. And of course, get over to covbearspodcast.com/book, buy a copy of my book, not for me, but to help support the Bears and for Rugby League Cares. And we'll see what we can do with it. But Craig, thanks as always, and I will see you on Sunday.
Thank you, mate.